You've probably heard the term being over the hill, right? Over the hill, meaning usually past your prime, that really you've lived your best days already, and now you're just going down. But I remember being young, being a teenager, and thinking anybody that's over 30, they're just over that hill. They've passed their prime, they've passed the peak, and they just don't understand anymore, how us young people feel and what life is really about. And I got to thinking, well, if over 30 means over the hill, that means you take 30 years to get up that hill. Another 30 years, you're going down. And when you're 60, I guess that means you're down at the bottom there and nothing left. And I remember thinking 60 being an old age. And now it's been several years since I've turned 60, and boy, have I changed my opinion about that. But really, when you're 60, there's a whole lot of life left. It's not by any means over with. So I want you to think with me about your own life. Think about the decades that you've been through. When you were in your 20s, how was life? Were you just getting started? Were you graduating from college, starting jobs, starting careers, a business maybe, starting a family, all that new stuff in your 20s, maybe in your 30s, but in your 30s, maybe things were settling in a little bit and starting to get a little bit more stable with relationships and finances and stuff. You move into your 40s. If you have children, maybe they're growing up. And in your 40s, sometimes people are wanting a little bit of a change, kind of shift things up a little bit. 50s, just things keep on going. I don't know if your life has been an upward climb or it's been just one hill after another hill. I know that in my own life, I could give you pretty much a summary of the decades of my life since 20 in a minute or less. 20s, I was scared of everything. I was so insecure. I didn't know how to be an adult. Nobody ever really taught me all that. So I just plunged in, met somebody, got married, had a couple of kids, and it was tough, but we got started. 30s, we moved to another state. Some changes there. I started working a job and finances were kind of difficult. Things were unstable. Relationships, activities, kids growing up. That was 30s. 40s. Well, we moved to a new country. We moved to Guatemala, where I'm still living now. And so that was a new culture, a new language. My kids are teenagers, everything different. That was in my 40s. And then we passed to 50s. Well, I found myself suddenly single again. Surprise! And I gotta admit that at first that change was really difficult for me. But going through that kind of a transition, I guess it kind of opened my eyes a bit. And I started seeing how my life had been just kind of one hill after another, trying to climb and get over things and not really making much progress with anything. So I made a decision sometime around my 50s there that I wasn't going to just be going up and down hills anymore. The rest of my life needed to be a mountain. And I decided I'm just going to go up that mountain because the more you climb, the better the view gets. So I started climbing. And if I get to the very top of that mountain, if I can be 100 years old and hit the top of that mountain, I think I'm just going to hang out for a while and enjoy the view. So what about you? What do you think about your life right now? From where you've come and where you're going? I believe that it can be uphill. Not uphill like in just getting more difficult, but uphill like making some progress and having a goal that things are going to look up and improve. Now, those are just some quick thoughts that I had. I don't know if some of that resonates with you. Let me know in the comments. But thanks for watching this. And I hope I can see you in the next one.